Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Beyond Threat podcast by Bleckmann. As always, I'm your host, Erik Janssen Steenberg, and also today I will be taking you on a journey to look at what is developing, the trends, new technologies, etc. in supply chain management and delivery in our beloved fashion and lifestyle sector. Today's topic is returns management and their policies. And for this, I am joined today by Katerina Antunovic, and she is one of our transport and service delivery managers. Katerina, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And today we will be covering the topic of how brands can create a successful returns policy, really linking to their customers' expectations. Katerina, can you briefly introduce yourself and immediately jump in how a brand can design a returns management process in such a way that it can truly contribute to customer satisfaction?
So to start with introducing myself, my name is Katerina, now working for the Bleckmann for the 6 years, last 4 to 5 years in transportation, mainly focusing on the new transport solutions for the B2C and B2B. And of course, near the outbound, which is one of our priorities, returns are also one of our main topics, especially for the last few years, where a lot of brands are really focusing on the returns and trends nowadays on the market.
Yeah, because we have seen that returns are actually gaining importance, also in the communications and contact with the customer, but also that we have a green wave coming for us, so there's more interest in the actual returns process, and for brands that are at the moment starting to look into their returns process, what kind of tips and information can you share on how the brands can create a returns process that is both simple and successful?
I think definitely number one will be to have really clear return policy with providing step-by-step instructions on how the item should be returned, also on the packaging instructions or any documentation if needed, because we often see that nowadays in the e-commerce world, customers are really expecting to have hassle-free return process, and that is also at the end really important for the long-term loyalty of the customers. Second one for sure will also be transparency and visibility. Really important one because customers want to be informed and want to be aware of the every step of their return, which is of course at the end also follow with the refunds time, which also needs to be done within the quick time frame. Of maybe exchange process, depends what brand can offer. Then customer support as well. Even if things are going wrong, I think customers should be able to contact customer service via live chat or email to receive the quick support. And one what is also really important is to provide to your customers multiple options for the return shipping. This is, of course, really depending on their target group, because we do see that for some brands, their customers prefer label in a box as the most easiest solution. Where for the another brands, customers do really prefer to initiate online return, to print label by themselves. Also, to not forget, sustainability QR codes are getting really popular. And this doesn't necessarily mean that we need to provide 10 different options, but I think providing 2 or 3 different ones should be enough.
And that's also, of course, highly dependent on the type of product and the type of, target customer of the brand, because I can imagine that Gen Z, fast fashion, low cost brand is completely differently looking at the process than, let's say, a high street, high luxury brand.
Exactly. That is also what we see in reality by our customers. Indeed, based on a target customer, we also try to advise our customers what will be the best return solution and what they should be offering to their customers, also to make it easy and efficient.
So that's not something that they would need to definitely 100% need to determine for themselves. We can actually help them.
No, we can there support. And I think what they can do on their end is also why data analyzing is also really crucial to see the feedback of their customers.
Yeah.
Because of course, when they are starting, we can advise them, but at the end can also turn that customers are expecting something else, which is also fine. And then we can also adjust.
Okay, but that sounds like that not only Bleckmann needs to be agile and adapting to changes, but also the brand needs to have a mindset that it needs to stay agile and flexible in its approach of returns towards their customers.
Yes, of course. For customers, it's also really crucial to stay flexible. And we, as a Bleckmann, can support them based on our analysis, because we also know what is now popular on the market and what end customers are requesting.
Yeah, okay.
And expecting at the end.
Well, absolutely, of course. And I'm the paying customer, so I would like to get the service that I'm expecting.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And what is, I think, also really important is that having a clear and simple return process can change the possible negative experience of the customer who received the item that doesn't look as they expected, doesn't fit them, to the positive experience if they could return that item on really easy way, get their money back on a time, and have like full transparency and visibility during the complete process.
No, it's absolutely true. And so several reports and researchers have pointed out that a happy return customer is a returning customer. So absolutely true. It's a very important pillar of the overall service offering towards the customer. At Bleckmann, we have several hundreds of customers, right? Those several hundreds of customers have several hundred different returns processes. So the core will always be the same, but there is this bespoke factor in there. What is your data telling us in terms of common mistakes that we can help our brands with in making sure that they avoid them?
The first one will be for sure not having a clear return policy with maybe even too much details. And we have also seen that brands that are having return policies with too much text, that is also not being really beneficial for the end customers.
No,
and there we see also
it's not going to read.
Exactly. And then we also see really a lot of mistakes when customers are returning the items. Then the second one for sure is transparency and visibility into the full return process. Customers, they of course want to know where is their return item, when it will be delivered to the final warehouse, when they can expect their money to receive back their money or maybe exchange the item, depending what they selected.
Yeah.
Then one of the also important ones will be not having enough return shipping options. So if, for example, we have seen in actuals that a lot of customers only provide label in a box, and often customers, they lose their label and they cannot return the item, then it's costing few days extra to contact the customer service. I think providing like more options, as we discussed previously, like that customer can maybe initiate online return, maybe drop it to Pudo, and at Pudo they can print a label or use QR codes, will be much beneficial for the brand and end customer as well.
Yeah.
And maybe last but not least, what we will discuss, refund time. Sometimes when we see that refund times are really long, it's really having a negative impact on a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that makes perfect sense, of course. Nobody likes waiting for its money. Yeah. So that tells us that an efficient returns process is contributing to customer satisfaction. But is it also contributing to customer loyalty? As I said earlier in this podcast, is your data also confirming that?
Yes, it's really crucial for the long-term loyalty.
Yeah. So the long-term relationship.
Yes, between the customer and the brand.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is also leading probably for purchase to be repeated, which is also really important for the brand.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think also customer who is satisfied with the return process will most likely leave the good review, which is in the end also beneficial for the brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you very much for being here today. And I had some follow-up questions. So without a doubt, the people listening and viewing the podcast will have them as well. Do you have a preferred way that these people can reach out to you and discuss the questions or topics that they might have?
Yes, of course. They can always reach out to me via LinkedIn if they have any questions.
Perfect.
Or they need any further explanation on what we discussed today.
Perfect. Thanks again. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you also.
Thank you. And I'm afraid that this is already the end of yet another episode of the Beyond Threats podcast by Bleckmann. I was your host, Erik Janssen Steenberg, and I hope to see you soon in the next episode. Bye.